Hello everyone, welcome to Highway to the Ancient Cave 5. We are really excited for some intense Lufia 2 action today. Commander Possum, are you ready to dive the depths of the cave?
Yeah, absolutely ready on this end. I look forward to see if Mike is going to continue using his three-man parties that he's become well known for. See if he can avoid those ninjas on floor 56 that keep causing our runners havoc. And really interested to see if Dekar is going to go for the Dekar bladeless kill on the Jelly on floor 99. Going to be an absolutely incredible race. And make sure you get your bets ready for every blue chest that we come across. What are you hoping to find in those blue chests, Commander?
A bronze hammer. Sounds good.
All right, bronze hammer it is. I'm always personally looking for a Gorgangon rock, but I'm just being told by some. Wait.
Well,
what's going on?
I was going to tell you that we are going to be broadcasting live from inside the Master Jelly.
Ooh.
Jelly Vision. But no, we actually need to, I guess, play free enterprise. But many shoutouts to the Lufia 2 and the Ancient Cave community. You all are lovely, and we have a lot of crossover between between these two communities. So nice little shout out. But I will turn it over to Commander Possum for reals this time, and we'll get started for this absolutely fantastic Red Moon Waning match.
Yeah, thank you so much, Scala, for that wonderful introduction. And here we go. We have some Lufia 2 inspired naming conventions for our runners. No surprise whatsoever. Dekar, of course, being the main character of Lufia 2. And, Mike, just very well known for running. Lufia 2 has a lot of different, characters named after characters you can take, and also some of your companions. I know that Darby is a personal favorite of mine, and I'm happy that for our runners, we get an edge start. Going to be a zoomer here. My name is Possum Morpheus. We have a Red Moon Waning matchup here between these two runners. Commander Leonhardt, how are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. Excited to be here for this matchup. I mean, these runners have had to go through a lot to get this far, but they've definitely been up to the task, and one of them will move on from this, and one of them will be done. And it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I know that I have played Dekar many times on the ladder, have not had the delight of playing him in a tournament yet. Mike and I played earlier this tournament, and it was a very close match. So I'm excited to see these two runners go at it today. We have Edge, we have Rydia, we have Samurai Arrows. That's a thing that exists. And we have a Dark Elf, which is not on our boss list.
Oh, yeah. I mean, tougher to find the really good summons for Rydia on the T-Pro that Red Moon runs under. Best hope, probably, since we're still on S Standard, is to get a hold of that Forced Hook, dip into Eblin, and see if there's a Leviathan there, assuming, of course, that you intend to keep Rydia.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Rydia might be destined for anchor duty, depending on the rest of the party composition. But we shall see. Looks like Dekar immediately going to hit Eblin Castle, going to do some looting. Maybe try to find some of those good summons, some good ninja blades for Edge. While Mike showing us Officer Soldier right away in Mist Cave, and noping right out of that. Not a required boss, not needed.
Well, DekarSMASH finds a trap chest on the first go, which is good news. The sooner you find all three of those, the less time you spend rewalking the same area, and the sooner you can pick up all the goodies.
Yeah, and looks like Mike going to be heading down into Antlion Cave. Really not doing much in the way of looting at all, just very straightforward, very headlong into this. And going to see if he can get through some of these early checks with the power of Edge alone, where Dekar taking a more calculated, more measured approach, trying to find something to speed up that trip through. Nothing really of note that I've seen so far. So we'll see if this looting does pay out. There is an Assassin Dagger, which is nice. More importantly, that's a required boss already on Mike's side. That is a Wyvern just showing up in Antlion Cave. Hello and goodbye.
Yeah, we don't have the Sea Neki flag on for the Red Moon, so Edge is showing up already with a black belt, a bandana, some gloves, and a pair of short swords, and you can do a lot on the overworld with that equipment.
Yeah, absolutely can. And speaking of some good equipment, that left tower had it. An elven bow, a heroine robe, a ninja hat, just kind of hanging out there with that assassin dagger. That is an incredible haul, honestly. You find any of our white mages who would love to get their hands on that bow and that robe. And then Edge just can use that assassin knife. It is team speed right there. Zoom, zoom, they will go. So we'll see if Dekar opts to go chase characters, or if he just continues on with this Edge.
Thanks, gonna chase characters. We are going to have a look at Watery Pass and Ice Claw. Whatever. Useful in a couple of neat spaces. We've got a bard. Mike says whatever.
Yeah. There's an Edward, and that is your mandatory Edward for the seed. Yeah. Hello, goodbye, do not want. Carrying on, Mike showing us that Edward and moving on to Hobbs. Going to make sure to get these early checks out of the way. There is Mr. Stinky, Tella himself, and Palom. Now this is going to be an interesting decision point for Dekar, because we have that heroine robe, we have that elven bow. Rydia could get levels and could hit things. Palom, yeah, do we keep him down to slingshot potentially, or let the quack kid get levels?
It is a good question. I'm not sure which I would do, honestly. What would you do?
I would probably have Palom still at level 10 by the time I did this, because I would likely just be going through the entire overworld with just Edge and Rydia. With Rydia having no levels, Edge having all the levels, and then eventually get all of my characters at once. So for me, it would be too soon to tell. But knowing that we have Edge, Tella, Rydia, Palom, and Edward available, it doesn't inspire confidence. You might need to have Palom alive and might need to get him some levels to get through some stuff.
Yeah, it's tricky using such a powerful character for your anchor slingshot potential, because Palom does get that quake early, and like you say, you might want to get him through. On the other hand, you find Rosa in Damsian for the archery, and you find Kane on ordeals, and maybe you're feeling better.
Yeah, those are the two best characters our runners could have come across from a power standpoint, especially in Dekar's case. Having access to Heroine Robe, Elven Bow, or Rosa is going to do a number here. Obviously, Edge is still going to be the workhorse, but having a nice secondary source of damage that you wouldn't otherwise have can't really be understated. Heroine Robe, Elven Bow, Fire Arrow, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's good enough in a lot of cases.
Definitely. Especially if you run across some mage bosses, that Elven Bow targets the mage weakness and will deal a lot more damage. And there are plenty of mage bosses to be found.
Yeah, oddly enough, the only mage boss we have on our list is the ruby form of Element, and possibly some weird gauntlets that would have the ability to show up in like the Feymarch or Barren Basement. Worth noting with Dekar's looting here in Antlion, picks up a longsword and a karate gi. Mike did not pick those boxes up, only got those Medusa arrows. So Dekar definitely coming out ahead on the looting here. Assassin knife, longsword, and then the haul from Eblin. Giving up a little bit of time, obviously, to do this looting. But if there's no early darkness crystal or no like real easy hook route, that loot is really going to come into play for him.
Back attack demissed. We did not have a free key item from Edward because this is the Red Moon. So this means we've got 2 key items for going through ordeals.
Yeah, 2 is better than 1. That's how math works. So 2 key item checks is definitely good. We know that that Baron key that came from Antlion as well cannot lead to our hook because the Wyvern is there. So that Baron key is actually something that our runners may put to the back burner. Also, hello Tella, let's just dodge a Mega Nuke because we can.
Sure, why not?
Old man feeling extra spry tonight. We'll see if we can get some recall magic from him, maybe.
And now you're just being greedy.
Well, you know, Tella, as much as I love him, he can't hit a stone for me to save his life or anyone else's. So I wish the good fortune to our runners that I don't have with him.
Mike, try to queue up an Ice 2 for when D-Mist came out. I like the thought, I like the attempt, just a little too soon. A little tougher with an edge anchor, especially if you're used to running at battle speed 1, because the spell's ticks don't care who the anchor is, so if you're slowing the entire fight down with an edge anchor, spells are going to be a little faster than you might be used to.
Yeah, and this fight in particular, that edge has at base level, I want to say like 23 agility or something like that. This fight has, I don't know, 10-ish. Palom is basically level with the fight, being, you know, whatever relative agility at the bottom of the list would be. But Palom's going to be acting basically as fast as the boss. Edge is just going to be taking 100 more turns than everyone else, and it really makes a mess of the agility system. But speaking of messes and leaving them in your wake, we have found the gauntlet hanging out in its air quote vanilla location because it's not technically the vanilla gauntlet.
Yeah, close enough. As close as we can get anyway.
Yes.
Not the worst place to find it. Can make use of some of those Thor Rages and Flame. Should be able to sweep through it, and always good to get another objective out of the way. Also nice not to worry about finding this in a much ruder space. Also, this is not the leg we're looking for. But
no, but
for a moment.
Speaking of things you don't want to find in another place, this is one of them. Now, cool thing here, Mike might cast Ice 2, and we saw it actually do 480 damage to Ruby with the cloak closed. The reason for that is the resistance doesn't actually get set until the cloak opens for the first time. So you can blast Ruby with ice spells initially before the cloak ever opens, and that's what you saw on Mike's side there, for anyone who may have caught that.
Runners showing off the tech, how they got this far, always a good thing to see.
Yeah, definitely 2 runners that really know what they're doing here. DekarSMASH, you know, we have to do the state mandated. DekarSMASH is our defending ZZ4 champion, while we have crowned a ZZ5 Red Moon waxing champion. Dekar does technically have a chance to defend his title, here in the ZZ5 Red Moon waning bracket. Mike, of course, being, very well established, a very good runner of this, looking to really make his first deep run in a tournament, and I believe has already won 5 matches in the waning bracket already, after sustaining a first-round loss to yours truly. So both have made really good runs in this and prior tournaments.
Well, some runners do like to fade Fabul. You wouldn't necessarily want to do that with an objective there, but seeing the hook means that fading Fabul is not an option.
Yeah, and it's interesting on Dekar's side. I wonder if he's going to take that hook and make a second trip back to Eblin. Looks like Mike is going to head on into Eblin now as well, and even up that looting. So that assassin knife, that heroine robe, that elven bow, and then whatever is in the right tower. If Mike does a full loot here, he may take the right tower as well. It looks like he's not getting into a battle with the trap chests at the moment, but is going to still do that looting. And Dekar does opt to get rid of Edward. Sorry, Commander, I know that's your boy, but picks up Kane in his stead.
I mean, I was already put out by the fact that we didn't have a Cecil start, so,
Yeah, I mean, Edge is a pretty good starter. I actually think Edge is the weakest of the 3 starters long term that you can get on the Red Moon flags because, well, he doesn't have the top end access Cecil does. He can't cover, and well, he's just not Fusoya,
Right?
Who is silly good.
Can't learn nuke, can't cover, can't swing a crystal sword. Guess we'll just have to settle for bonkers early game agility and the ability to dart.
Yeah. And looks like Dekar did take a Siren and is taking a second Siren up here. So going to be doing a bit of a grind to get some spells on Palom and Rosa. Some levels for Kane. While Mike is showing us a bit of new information here. A Charm Rod, some Samurai Arrows. We have a Cat Claw. So some decent stuff. Nothing really game-breaking I've seen so far.
Bear bandana. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think he's going to go back for that heroin robe in the left tower. We'll see if he grabs the Elven Bow, which is one chest after. But there was a monster box that he opened up immediately after that. So I wonder if he's going to take the shot at the 1 and 3 here, because that Elven Bow is the next chest down. Next to the monster box there. So that'll be interesting to see if our runners equalize here, and they don't. So no Elven Bow for Mike. I was a little worried about this.
Yeah, Mike not wanting to get bogged down, and Evelyn trying to get in, make this an efficient trip, which is a good thing, but, you know, every chest you don't open can't be a crystal sword, but in this case it was an Elven Bow, so depending on the order of the bosses, that might be significant.
Yeah, if we have, that element show up, if we have, let's say, an Asura or a Magus Sisters on the hook route, that Elven Bow could really, really be a big differentiating factor, especially if we don't find a Mutinite. So that's going to be a very big point of contention in this seed is when do those bosses show up, like you've alluded to.
So neither runner has made their way to Baron Inn yet. Not even for the quick peek, which is understandable. You can wait on that a little bit. The second spot can be a bit rude. Baron Key is still outstanding. Mike's going to give us a look at the waterfall, though.
Yeah, and I do wonder, this Demist on Dekar's side reminding me, did Mike turn in Demist? Also,
No.
There's more Vanilla.
Yay, Vanilla. But no, I didn't see a Demist turn in. I got so caught up in everything that I kind of forgot about it, and that might be what happened to Mike, or he might just be waiting until he's in the neighborhood.
Well, I mean, he was fairly in the neighborhood right there at the waterfall, so I'm hoping this isn't a situation where it's been forgotten. Maybe he'll do it when he goes back to Baron. But my fear, and I am guilty of this, and I think we all are guilty of this, is if it's one of those, like, what is that phrase, set it and forget it type thing? I will forget it if I don't do demist right away. Like, if I do a demist on the hook route, I will half the time just go straight up, back over to the overworld, just so I can turn it in, because I will forget about it.
It's probably no big deal. It's probably just a firebomb. It certainly wouldn't be a rat tail leading into a darkness crystal or anything like that, now would it?
No, we've never seen demist lead to a darkness crystal in any race ever, and one runner get it and the other not. That has never been a thing that's happened in the history of Free Enterprise, and it certainly won't be happening now, right?
Yeah, right? There's code in the randomizer to prevent such horrific things. And if you believe that, I have some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you.
Man, I could go for some of that oceanfront property in Arizona. That oceanfront property here in Nevada just ain't cutting it.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, we do have our runners retracing each other's steps a little bit. I do want to make sure we shout out our behind-the-scenes folks. Scarlet Kitty obviously doing a wonderful job on the restream, and of course putting together a lot of the intro here. You might call them memes, we call them dreams, and that Lufia 2-bit, definitely love that. And then of course Dubword, our tracker, who actually has the hardest job, our runners notwithstanding. Pushing the buttons, keeping track of everything. It's hard. It's really hard. I don't envy him. And then, of course, our runners themselves, Dekar and Mike. If you haven't already, give them a follow. They both stream fairly regularly. Dekar does a lot of ladder racing, sometimes asyncs, and Mike streams a fair bit of Free Enterprise and also Lufia 2. So definitely give them both a follow.
Also, follow that possum guy. He's the yours truly that handed the loss earlier and is also a defending Free Enterprise champion. So you'll see some good stuff over there.
Yeah, and don't forget yourself as well. You always put on a heck of a show, also a heck of a runner, and you are a definitely one to watch if you want to be entertained. And I think that is. I know why I tune in. I very much so enjoy when you stream for Enterprise and other things.
Baronin is just Valvalis into King Queen Evelyn, which is better than King Queen Evelyn into Valvalis.
Well, I don't know about that because Val is free in the second spot. Val in that first spot, if you don't dart or get an attack off first, can actually be quite a cumbersome fight. So, I don't know. I think either way, this is a super free Baronin, and our viewers are going to be happy about that.
Yeah, and Edge did have a dart. He upgraded his katanas, so he took a spare short sword and flung it in Val's face for about 680.
Yeah, and so we have a Bacchus. Wow, what a reward.
Great. Now we'll have 11 or 21 Bacchuses when we find that shop, instead of 10 or 20. An Hourglass I'd have been a little more excited about. Be like, maybe we can have revenge on one of those trap chests, but Bacchus, yeah.
Yeah, and a Slumber Sword going to greet Valvalis here from Mike. Didn't have that short sword available. Looks like Dekar doing some purchasing here. Buys a Charm Rod and does not pick up any extra karate keys, but he's got decent enough stuff handy. Is going to do the Baron castle play, which is a little interesting to me because we already have the hook. Might just want to get it out of the way early, but I know I've seen a lot of runners this tournament fade this until after they get back above ground with more levels to make it faster.
Yeah. There's not a lot of XP in these slots. Is there, Possum?
No, I want to say it's like 4,000 in the first spot and like 5,500 in the second. It's sub 10k. It's basically like an Eblin trap chest worth of XP. But I wonder if some of the reasoning here is quite simply we have Tela, and any chance you can take at a Darkness Crystal, you take. You don't want to miss that. Now, worth noting, not just Mike. I believe Dekar also did not turn in the D-Mist yet.
Oh, still unknown what key item we get in Mist Village.
I'm very interested to see if one or both of our runners is going to turn that in. I'm hoping it's ultimately both or neither, because I don't want to see it be one and the other and have it be something required.
Something, change. Da.
And yeah, it looks like we have some meat change up on Dekar's side. Very, very fast on Edge. So I don't believe that Dark Elf even got a turn before the transition over to Phase 2. We'll see if Mike is able to replicate that.
Edge doing Edge things, as he does, making the overworld look silly. Baron Closet check.
Hey, it's money out of 10, yeah. Earthhammer and Samurai Hat. That's a number of Tier 5 J items out of Eblin. That's pretty good.
Oh, hey, it's another sparkle.
Well, can't be Wyvern, which is good.
It is not, in fact, the ogre.
We are going Starveil Tech here, though, and Rosa gonna go Burr here. Take advantage of that air weakness that Plague has. The awkward thing that we're gonna have here, and this is not anything that our runners are gonna do wrong, but oh my heavens, when you get Plague in a spot that crumbles, the crumble feels like it takes 10 years. It's the worst.
Now, if only Edge had a kamikaze. He can afford the hit point loss, and he's got the types of hit points that make it give you a much bigger window for the kamikaze swag kill, but oh well, one can dream.
Yeah, and Rosa decided that Plague did not have a family this fight, and 2,800 damage later, goodbye. Meanwhile, Dark Elf did get a week off on Edge on Mike's side, so a slightly less clean fight on his side. Still making great time through this, but is going to have a little bit longer fight on this Dark Elf, and going to weak with Tella and land that, and then be on his way to Plague, and we'll see what the Baron Trash Bin has in store for us. Somehow tied up Rosa. And is that Kaipomus? Yeah.
It was Kaipomus. Kaipomus has abducted Rosa, giving us more reason to really wish her ill.
But she just saved us.
Did she, though?
No. Ooh,
hey, package! Hey, maybe we can remember the Demus now.
Well, here's an interesting thing about package. Dekar is very well known in this tournament for checking the package. He's done it many times, and I know that in his races against Solaris in particular, I want to say that every time the package was out there, it was checked. So that's one that's extremely interesting. And oh hey, so about that Edward commander,
Spoon. I mean, I don't expect them to, but Spoon.
I would be very intrigued.
As I say, I don't expect either of our runners to go for it. You're going to want Tella for the utility. You're keeping Rydia around as an anchor, Palom for the Quake, and Rosa is going pew 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 until he finally turns healer. There unfortunately really isn't room for a Spoon Ward. I wish there was. But I cannot defend it in this case.
I would personally highly consider getting rid of Kane to pick up Spoonward.
Well, Dekar, sure, because Dekar kept Kane.
Right, in Dekar's position. Double Zerg, double Mage, and a Tele Anchor, although that Gungnir Spear.
And then, and then suddenly a Gungnir appears.
Gungnir it's no Spoon, but it's still awful good.
No, it's definitely no Spoon. For Kane, what you're really hoping for to justify it as an adventure.
And Commander, you had referenced finding that hook, finding that Leviathan. That Leviathan was there all along.
It was.
Along with Sork robes, too.
Could have a car wash. Like, Tella makes a great anchor. You don't need to keep Rydia as an anchor, right?
I mean, Rydia is a great slingshot target, a great anchor, and when Leviathan is around, more than just a slingshot target and an anchor. So I think Rydia has a lot of flexibility for this team. Unfortunately, we're just not really going to get a lot of it here. Huh. Things that Leviathan would be good against for 400.
Right? Oh, if we can get to Quake, Quake will do the job just fine. But yes, it's very nice when you have any kind of AoE tech that pierces Baigon's wall and knocks out the arms so that he just spends time recovering them. Leviathan does fit the bill.
This is interesting on Dekar's side. We're doing a little bit of hook route looting. Maybe looking for some more power to take on that Baigon, maybe looking for even a little bit of XP these Stalemen give. No, saying I'm good, I don't want to mess with these. I expect we will see the Mad Ogre chest, though. That's going to represent a lot of potential XP for our runners to take on that Baigen.
And this is giving mikemike a little bit of time to catch back up to Dekar. If he decides he's comfortable with his loot and just go straight ahead.
Oh, we did just see a Soma drop get picked up. If Tella can ever survive long enough to get a Meteo off, that can do work against Baigen. That's a gigantic if, though.
It really is. I mean, you could target the arms with Meteo, the arms could fall to something else, and the arms could come back, and Tella could still be working on the Meteo.
Yeah.
I may have actually done exactly what I described before.
Yeah, definitely have been there, done that as well. It's an interesting thing that happens. But Dekar setting up Rosa in slot 2 with the Heroine Robe on, I believe, will be RA1 or Relative Agility 1. Not going to get into, the nitty-gritty fully on the agility system, but we're just going to describe it this way against the Mad Ogres. Rosa gonna go burr.
Right. And the Mad Ogres are mages. Don't ask why. Something Japanese translation. But that means that since DekarSMASH does have that Elven Bow, Rosa's going to bring a lot of suffering.
Yes, and if Rosa for some reason falls to the Ogres, albeit incredibly unlikely in the back row with a Heroine Robe on, we have Kane with a Poison Axe that was found, looting the hook route as well. So a good backup just in case. But Rosa going to self-Zerk here. The Ogres are going to have themselves a bad day. And we'll see if Dekar also opts to sneak some Bacchus. Does not, just going to attack with that edge.
Yeah, looking to make sure he gets the life glitches. Get all the XP he can for Rosa and Alum, I dare say. I don't think Rosa's made it to Blink yet, and having that up and running to supplement Tellum might be useful.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're going to Virus Tella here to knock him down. Looks like we're not really interested in that yet. So it looks like the old man is going to get some XP. Thankfully, his XP curve is even worse than Rydia's, and he gains agility very slowly. The first 10 or so levels, I want to say he only gains like 1 or 2 agility points. So the old man, while spry enough to dodge a Mega Nuke, not spry enough to really do much. And there's a Ninja Blade. That is pretty big, actually. Ninja Long is good enough for endgame on these flags.
Yeah, on these flags, it's a little bit lighter, but it will get the job done. Twin Ninja, not that a ninja is a huge upgrade over long, but Twin Ninja in my mind is usually the break point of, alright, we're set. Ninja Long, definitely the next best thing to that, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It is an interesting change or interesting difference between the Blue Moon and Red Moon. Just some of the weaponry that you sometimes have to make your way through these Red Moon seeds on with T Pro as opposed to T Wildish. And oh boy, that's a boss. I mean, it's required, but that's not a pleasant fight. That is an antlion hanging out at the King Queen Eblis spot. It's fast, it's punchy. We are going to keep the spoon. We're going to dart a Drain Spear, maybe try to hit a Virus or a Quake. Rosa with the Heroine Robe, though, able to take a punch there. And Dekar should be through this. Unfortunately, Edge drops, but everything else should be handled from here.
Yeah, to go back to that blue versus red topic, Edge plays a very different role in the Blue Moon for a few reasons. Part of it is that T Wildish loot, but also part of it is that getting an Edge doesn't necessarily mean you don't have a Cecil. So you can end up with a lot of parties where you have Cecil and Edge, and Cecil can just knock things down with the big holy sticks. And with all of that extra T Wildish loot sitting around, Edge often ends up darting a lot more than swinging. Yeah,
and speaking of darting, Drain Spear and a Gungnir Spear go by the wayside for Mike. Opts to hold on to the spoon, and then Tella finishes off with a virus. Very well done there. No safety save from Dekar. Palom already down, which is not great when you're relying on Quake. Mike saying, hold on, I would like to go save.
Yeah, Tella's blink not quite in time to save Palom, but we'll get him back up and see how things go. Also good getting Edge blinked and zerked early on. Edge will be firing off attacks often, and that will give him some time to get some inputs in.
Yeah, the more Q clogging we can get with these Zerkers, the better. Just really need to hope that these blinks can land, that people can stay alive, that, you know, Palom doesn't get sniped by a random vampire, stuff like that. Because we really want to hit those Quakes. Edge, for all his glory with that black belt and ninja sword, the longsword, he still is in back row. And that back arm is in the back row. The body and the front arm are not in the back row. For whatever reason, that's just how the rows are kind of set up on the Baigen fight. But at least the body's in the front row. That back arm, though, it is a nightmare when you just keep hitting that back arm over and over and over again.
Yeah, we do not have the back row glitch on, and the Red Moon flag set. The only way for Edge to be back row is to be actively using a boomerang in his right hand.
Yeah, boomerang, what is it, full moon?
Yeah, full
and
moon.
The
boomerang type weapon.
Yeah, the sunrise boomerang,
yes,
I think?
Sunrise on the Forge
snip
is also a boomerang type, yes.
I think those are the only 3 standard ways you can go about it. We have some issues on Mike's side. People are getting punched a lot, and there's not a lot of people left to get punched. We need to figure something out quickly here. I think there is a Meteo queued with Tello. We were kind of talking about this. But, okay, that Meteo comes out in time. So, if nothing else, this is going to be a brief reprieve for Mike while we get the arms recovering. But we need a lot of people to get alive in a hurry, and the arms are already back. I think Mike is going to need to take this Mad Ogre chest and go get him some Quake on Palom to make this doable. This seems very, very rough right now.
Tella gets an elixir. We're going to try for a second Meteo. Okay, at least Edge is proving somewhat resilient with the gear he has, and Leviathan's a nice grimoire roll to buy us a little more time.
Yeah, that grimoire roll, definitely a great hit for Mike there. I missed what was at the top of tower there for Dekar, but he is through that Baiken very quickly through as well, having done Baron and doing all the overworld, plus some looting in Eblin. Looking at about a 35-30 for Falcon percent, which is extraordinarily good for a Baiken.
I think it was Karate at top of tower, but I'm not certain. Subword agrees with me.
Now we have a Cure 3 out on Edge, who is now zerked. This is a bit scary, because as soon as Tella goes down, we're out of characters not named Edge alive, and that means when an Explode comes out, well, yeah.
and then, just as you said it, Edge went down.
Yeah, this is not great. I think Mike was hoping on a prayer there that the Stardust would finish the fight. But this is unfortunately going to be a very lengthy wipe on Mike's side. Just that extra leveling on Dekar's side really gave him quite a bit of an advantage there. And I'd love to see Mike go back and take on that Mad Ogre chest to get Quake on the kid. I think it's such an incredibly important spell here.
Yeah, agreed. Quake is definitely a benchmark in general principle for the hook route, but especially with its utility here against Baigon, it's almost essential.
Yeah, and the other thing that could be helpful, and you alluded to this earlier, was Rosa having Blink on Dekar's side. Really nice, even with the Heroine robe on, you know, you want her to have that ability and that capability to go through and survive some hits, to cast some blinks. But you know, her being in the front row kind of negates a little bit of that too. So maybe a row change in order for Mike, maybe some leveling in order. I know his style is usually go pretty fast and pretty light, pretty level light, but sometimes just got to go through and do a little bit of a grind there. Hits a Leviathan again on the Grimoire though, so still getting great luck there on the Grimoire rolls, while Dekar is at Dwarf Castle and finds Odin. Not required, but kind of a punchy fight here too.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen a Thunderclaw. That would change this up significantly. Odin is extremely weak to lightning, much like Rubicant is extremely weak to ice, and a Thunderclaw coupled with a Ninja Sword would bring a world of hurt.
Oh, and speaking of a world of hurt, that Tella was almost done with that Meteo being channeled and got bopped by a random vampire, so down he went by 8 HP, and then Palom got punched and knocked down as well. So fight unfortunately falling apart a little bit for Mike again. Hopefully he can recover this.
Get it, Mike. Get it!
And that Odin already down on Dekar's side, making very quick work. Kane also fell down, but Kane honestly not contributing a ton for this team right now. Edge doing a lot of the heavy lifting on Zerking, Palom on spellcasting Black Magic, and of course Rosa, you know, doing White Magic duty. We do have another Sparkle here, though. This could be that Ogopogo. We have already seen Plague and Wyvern. Exclamation mark Doot. Not too many Doots gonna show up, but there's one more. And the Quake is going to draw no Doots.
Nope. We're done here. I'll have a hand crawling around, which, considering that it came from a snake-like anatomy, it's probably used to crawling and slithering.
Yeah, we'll see what that snake-like anatomy hand thing that's crawling gives us, if anything. Luca, she has a very strange sense of fashion historically. The Luca key, sure, that makes sense. But today, a protect ring, you know, that makes a lot more sense than a lot of the stuff that the little girl wears. So yes. When she's got like pans and stuff like that, I just sit there and I'm like, really? Is that what dwarven fashion is these days?
Dwarven fashion is apparently a very large sword that makes people go burr. I don't get it.
But speaking of going burr, while the sirens will not help us go burr immediately, the sirens definitely could help out in the long run on Dekar's side, and does pick up 15 of them. Could go through and do a couple of those right now, maybe get to level 3 spells on Quack Kid before going into the Fey March. Could also look to get to Cure 4 on Rosa. We'll see, because we only have 4 key items. We're pretty light on key items so far.
Mike is taking a more measured approach to this fight. He's having Tella focus on blinking, and he's also set a wall up so that Palom can bounce some viruses so that if they find the main body, they can actually deal some damage. Hey, there we go.
Like that.
Well, let's hope this change in tactics gets you through. Definitely one thing as a runner of Free Enterprise to keep in mind is if you've attacked a problem a couple of times, it's often best to either step back and maybe level a bit, as Possum was suggesting, or look for a different approach.
Yeah, definitely like the change in approach, going with more of a blink-heavy approach. really utilizing Tella for his white mage duties. And hey, those reflected viruses, Palom rolling good on those 1 and 3s. And we're through this fight. Now, what's going to happen here is we are going to get some explodes. And these arms, they have quite a bit of HP here. So 2 people are going to die. But it's okay, because we're through the fight.
Yes, that's what matters. Bounce off that a couple of times, you're feeling behind, and you just are like, you know what? Just get me out of here. I got some work to do.
Yep, and there goes Edge, goodbye friend. And there goes Rosa, goodbye friend. Oh no, there was only 298 health left on that arm. Rosa lives, Palom lives. Honestly, the 2 most important folks.
Yeah, they need the experience most in this party, without a doubt.
Yeah, so GG's to Mike getting through that Baigan. Is definitely going to have a little bit of time to make up now. Dekar's Falcon percent was about 35-30, if I remember correctly. Mike going to be about 43-30, so we're going to be looking about 8 minutes time to be made up here, minus, whatever stream type delays. So might realistically be about 7.5 minutes because we had some choppiness, some frame issues on Mike's side. But definitely has his work cut out for him. Speaking of things that you have your work cut out for, Magus Sisters at Asura, gross. CPU at Leviathan, literally the grossest.
Yeah, you know what well, there's a few, I mean, who was it once that said, if it was you, apologies, but someone once said a couple of tournaments ago that you can tell how experienced a free enterprise player is by how creatively they screw up a CPU fight.
That is
I'm sitting here thinking about blinks on the attacker. I'm sitting here thinking about that Leviathan in the shop, and
that's long been a discussion point between myself and PK, and was kind of drawn from, I think, a discussion between PK and Flurry, where, personally, I've always wondered, like, at lower experience levels where you're less comfortable kind of YOLOing, for lack of a better term, some of these fights, you will just go through and kind of take the safe, measured approach. You'll jump with a cane, you'll dart with an edge. But the more experience you get, kind of the better you understand the thresholds in your damage, you'll start to find new and creative ways to die the CPU. And whether that be quaking, whether it be medioing, whether it be zerking, what we affectionately call a hybrid of both, which is plan Q, where you just throw all the damage at it, that's always the really fun and interesting part. So yeah, that's in part myself, but also PK and Flurry. And hey, a Moonveil for Dekar. That could potentially help against the Magus Sisters, but I cannot imagine that's going to help much, if at all, against CPU. Also, part of the problem with CPU, there's no back row glitch on in Red Moon, which just makes it even worse.
It does. We have a chat question from Napar. Yeah, we have. I apologize
Napa.
for wrecking
Napa.
your name. From Nappa.
Yep.
Difference between child and adult Rydia. Child Rydia has a very small level, low-level white magic spells, and can use some white mage equipment, such as the white robe. But adult Rydia can equip a couple of other interesting things too, like a Zeus Gauntlet, and when she does go through Dwarf Castle, she learns the level 2 elemental spells, and some summons, which nowadays tend to be a random selection of summons.
Yeah, and speaking of things that are random, Dekar getting the runaround from that from those black chocobos. The yellow chocobos doing a great job of playing fullback and an offensive line to really keep their running back, the black chocobo, in protect mode and not letting us tackle it whatsoever. So well done by the yellow chocobos.
Those pesky black chocobos. Oh my goodness.
There's your daily sports ball reference, everybody, so I hope you enjoyed. Go Giants. Oh, also, we have this thing called music happening, which, yeah, it's cool. Music, I prefer to do it after the seed, and go through and once the credits roll, go to Troya and play it there. But apparently everybody loves it live in a race. So I guess Dekar is being the man of the people. So GG's to him. And Commander, who's the spotlight on here?
Edward! It's music time! But also, Dekar doesn't have much better choices than music right now.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Feymarch. Package.
Yeah. Enjoy, y'all. All right, Commander, we have a twin harp check. I've got good news, and I've got bad news. Bad news, no boss. Other bad news, not a key item. Potentially good news, it's a pass?
Yeah, most times pass is a good news, especially on Red Moon. Without that T Wildish equipment and without being limited to one of Edge, Cecil, or Fu, and Z fights can be a little more marginal. So if you're gonna lose at least one of those, having a pass is handy.
Yeah, pass definitely can be nicer on Red Moon because, well, sometimes you can just wipe in the Z fight. And
Right.
It looks like Dekar are going to be doing what I affectionately like to call the Martin Broadcloak, where you do the Twin Harp and you do Zot 1, and then you kind of skedaddle from Troya, hoping to never return. So this represents for Dekar two boss checks, one key item check. They are certainly longer checks than average, but you're in the area. Now, what this does, though, Mike is done with Dwarf Castle. He has peaked the Feymarch and said, nah, I'm good. Thanks, but no thanks. If he fades Twin Harp and he fades Zot 1, and our runners end up finishing on the Moon, Mike has made up the bulk of that 8 minutes if he's able to fade that. But it would require a very specific set of circumstances for that to happen. And Mike is still going to be incentivized to check things like the Twin Harp because of his struggles with that Baiken. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. There's a DKC that is required at Zot 1. So a nice pickup here for Dekar.
Yeah, always nice to see the Martin Broadcloak or the Rex Banner, however you want to call it, pay off. That'll get us to 4 out of 7 bosses. Just might make things a little smoother overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
About that package.
I mean, for Dekar, he's looking at, again, what, Baron Basement, Keyless Tower, Feymarch for bosses, right? Or for key item spots, is that correct? That's all we have left right now?
Yeah, Feymarch and Top of Tower. Yeah, I got nothing else.
Yeah, so I think our runners are going to be incentivized to, like the Twin Harp, as you mentioned, is an easier check. And I guess this kind of, if you do Zot 1, it kind of does route back to Baron a little bit. So maybe the basement gets checked. Maybe the package gets checked. It's just very interesting. The limited options that our runners have. Frankly, none of them are good.
Yeah, I had forgotten about Baron Basement. Like, I don't think we've even seen the boss there. Now, to be fair,
but
our runners had no hope of picking that boss off at the time, but
no.
You might still want the info.
Yeah, not a whole lot was going to be gained by peeking that and then being like, yeah, this is cool, but I can't even pretend to beat this right now. We have Dekar returning to Dwarf. I wonder if he's going to pick up like 13 more Sirens here and just get to nuke right now. This may be a play for what we affectionately call 30 Sirens in a dream.
Yeah, when everything is rude, you can throw your head against the wall and try and use some clever strats and hope it gets through. Or you can just go for ruthless efficiency, pick up the Sirens, and do your grind now.
Yeah, and that gives 25 Sirens for Dekar. I don't hate it. It's one of those things where you got to do what you got to do. And he also has the assassin knife to do it if he wants to go swoon strats. So we'll get to see how Dekar approaches these eggs while Mike approaches music. Alright, so we have good news and bad news on Mike's side. Good news, he's through that fight. Bad news, I think Rydia stayed alive there, which is going to foul up his anchor situation a wee bit, but may also make the same decision and go do a whole bunch of eggs and get that Rydia to nuke. We shall see what he opts to do. But Dekar is going through and doing swoon tech on these eggs, and it's an interesting little way that this works. You basically have to wait for the eggs to enter the queue, but to have an ATB of 0. Think of like a Final Fantasy IX style ATB system, but with a completely empty action bar. When that action bar is empty, the eggs will just get swooned every single time. It helps when you get regular attacks and strike first. It's a little less reliable on surprise attacks and back attacks. But Dekar having pretty good luck so far in his encounters, and getting a lot of these regular encounters to make this a pretty quick grind, all things considered.
And it does not seem like Mike has an interest in Zot 1, which is understandable, but under the circumstances unfortunate, as that is an objective, so he's gonna be one behind. Now, if there were an Earth Crystal up here with this Yang, then that would put him right back on the road to that objective.
Yeah, it'll put him back on the road to it. My fear is that we are nowhere close to 10 key items and we don't have a good line on 10, and that everything that Dekar does once this grind is done is just going to be so much faster than what mikemike does. This pretty much has to be like a pan to a rat tail, or like a tower key to a pan to a rat tail to an earth crystal. Like, all of this needs to chain together really, really quickly in order for mikemike to do a 10 key item grind, if he grinds at all. I'm a little worried that he's just going to get bogged down in a lot of these fights. So we'll see, though, if he's able to make it through. This may just be part of his decision as well with the struggles on Baigen. Let me just go take on these bosses and see if maybe I can cobble something together and push through.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of hit points up here. It's the hit points of all of the forms of Dr. Lugay and Balnab combined. And while the magic stat is unimpressive, the physical stat's respectable.
Yeah, the awkward thing about this particular spot is it's kind of fast, it's kind of punchy. But other than that, it's just a pile of hit points. The way the HP, of course, is split in vanilla, you have all of Lugay's different forms. But when it's not a split enemy, everything just gets piled into one. So this fight's going to take a hot second, but it's pretty much free with Blinks and Cure 3 here. So won't be difficult for mikemike, just going to take more time to do this fight than it would for Dekar.
With the Bluff on, though, Howlin doing some good work with that Quake. Bluff is a nice way to chew through some hit points every time you do it. He gets plus 15 to his Wisdom stat. And even if he gets knocked down, when he gets back up, he keeps that bonus.
Yeah, Bluff is an incredibly interesting little ability that it persists through everything, including a crystal use from Zeromus, including death. The only thing it doesn't persist through, for whatever reason, is changing your weapon after you've bluffed. So why it works this way, I have no idea. I'm sure there's a programming reason, but I'm not a programmer. It's kind of one of those weird quirks in Free Enterprise, you know, what isn't? But Bluff is a heck of an ability. A Strength Ring is not a heck of a reward. That is a big old pile of zonk at the top of the tower.
That hurts. That is not how mikemike's going to make up time, unless DekarSMASH makes that the next stop. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised by a Feymarch play. That's kind of a spin on the general wisdom. Like, if you do a D-Machine grind, you go to the moon, because you have built up this power to take on the toughest spots that an opponent of yours that didn't grind is ignoring. So having done 30 Sirens in the Dream, Dekar might go straight to the top of the ladder, and right now that's the Feymarch.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, that's a huge zonk. With the lack of key items we've had, the keyless tower play is statistically the most likely to give a key item there, somewhere around 70%. You'd have to imagine that's even higher given the lack of key items we've seen. So that's a really rough spot. And hey, there's Lugay, the aforementioned Dr. Lugay from the top of tower, hanging out in Odin's spot in the basement.
Still no Thunderclaw. But, you know, we've got Quake, and for a little bit of time, this is a two-part boss. And the script works in reverse, what we were talking about at top of tower. The hit points of this location are divided up amongst the various forms here.
Yes. And on Dekar's side, we see Nuke having been learned. That's a big spell. And that is going to allow Dekar to really do a number on a lot of these upcoming bosses. And overall, that was an incredibly quick grind. I don't know how many bad encounters he got in that bunch, but it could not have been very many. to be through that grind that quickly. So just over an hour and 1 minute. Dekar going to have access to the big spells and going to be hot on Mike's heels here. Mike is, for now, up that tower check, but down that Cecil, or that DKC at Zot 1. But Dekar is up a full grind to nuke already. So the door is going to close pretty quickly on Mike, unless this is exactly a darkness crystal, and then he goes and D-machines. I think Mike is in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, and even with that D-machine, you're then also, in Mike's case, hoping for an objective up there to really pick up the ground. He's already missing an objective for not having run Zot. So if he didn't run it then, he's going to put it off for a while, and nothing short of an Earth Crystal, I think, is going to put him back there, or maybe 6 out of 7 and no other place to go.
And this is a bit interesting on Mike's side, opting to Virus Tella off with only 2 people left standing. If a laser comes out on Palom, that could end Palom's day here. We still have about 1,700 health left on this Luge. This is kind of scary to be that aggressive with your anchoring, especially when the XP is so heavily split. But Rosa lives with 9 HP. Well, she did live, now she's dead. This Quake needs to kill, or Mike is in trouble here. It does kill, though, so by the skin of his teeth, Mike makes it through that Luge.
Yeah, if that laser had gone to Palom, it would have been a almost calculated kill. Wait, Tower Key from Dr. Luge? Is this semi, but not really even?
That's one of the stranger flavors of Vanilla, Commander.
Traveling Vanilla? I don't know.
But we see on Dekar's side, Quad 9 nuke. That's a quick way to end a fight. So yeah, Strengthening, reset, and Dekar probably going to fight Luge as well now in the basement. I just don't think, even with the levels, you really want to take on that Feymarch till you have to. And I don't blame this decision at all.
Oh, yeah. Technically, DekarSMASH chasing Mike, as one does after you spend some time on eggs, but as you've pointed out, he's gonna get through these so much faster. Just so much faster.
Yeah, this is...
All that time Mike's been struggling on Form 2, Palom's just gonna go, nuke.
Yeah.
We're done here.
Yeah, we had Rosa go Burr earlier. We have now entered the stage of the seed for Dekar that is known as Palom go Microwave Burr.
We got a quick keyless tower check. Oh wait, is DekarSMASH not gonna fight the Doctor? Ooh. Says, you are not worth my time. You are a talkative boss. You are taking too much time. I'm gonna go to the Feymarch. This tower key check just got a lot bigger.
Yeah, like if this tower key gives darkness, that would be exactly Mike's way back in, because even with all these levels and then some that Dekar has, these fights in the Feymarch are not fast. I would do everything in my power to not have to go after that CPU in particular. All the levels and then some just don't help with it. So that would be very disconcerting for me to ever have to do battle with that CPU. Speaking of things that are annoying, Mom Bomb in a spot with 600 health.
Right.
And, well, let's tack on another 9,000. Have fun.
You know, I don't know a thing about the magic stat in this spot because almost nothing survives to cast magic. So I don't know what sort of explode we're looking at here, but I don't imagine it would be too bad.
I would have to imagine explode here is going to do like 100, maybe 150. It's none of the stats here are very high at all. I know it has no magic defense at all, like with Val. Okay, yeah, only like 60 damage.
Yeah. No worries. Mike making sure that the virus is properly multi-targeted before letting it fly, and that gets him through. Yeah,
and Dekar choosing to go with the Magus Sisters rather than than the orbs right away. An interesting thing that you can do on this fight when you have access to nuke is you can just nuke the back sister, the tall one that casts wall, and then the front one will just end up, going through and fire 2ing and, ice 2ing and virusing the middle sister. So that is one slight optimization you can do on this fight rather than casting Quake, is actually just completely counterfeit what they're looking to do by getting a very quick nuke off on the back sister before they can take any actions. So a really cool little bit of tech you can do if you are, finding yourself against an annoying Magus Sisters fight and you have access to nuke.
The power of the grind gets him through. Oh, hey, about that Zot 1 check.
Yeah.
Feels bad.
Yeah.
Even when it was an objective.
It still feels great because you got the objective done, but yeah, it feels a little bad finding that. I don't think we'll get a Rate That Treasury from Dekar either. There's really not much impetus to do it, but big moment here for Mike. The tower key gives a Pinktail. That is not what he wanted.
No. Even if you get something really good for this party, like, Marasame, it's still not worth the time you put into it.
No, and now we know that either that Earth Crystal or this CPU leads to darkness.
Oh boy.
So we know that darkness is through the Fey March, one way or the other. And that is not going to help Mike's cause whatsoever. I think Dekar is firmly in the lead now because of this development.
Yeah, you cannot bring the power of nuke to bear in this fight other than what has already been done. But you could certainly go with some rocks. We mentioned earlier creative ways to take on CPU. This is that plan Q you mentioned, where we're just gonna go after it, and there's a lot of hit points here, but by the time the damage rolls in, either you recover from the globes, or maybe that's at the point where you're just finally knocking it down as the globes fall.
Yeah, so what we're getting here, I think, is a little bit of zerking from Edge, some jumping from Kane, some Meteo from the Kid. We have a wall that went up and Rose is reflecting a white. So we're going full bore on this, and it seems to be well timed as well, because this orb is going to disappear, the white is going to fire and reflect, and then we're going to have some jumps and zerks. So this is just full-on aggression to go after the orbs. This is one of those where if you time it right, it looks beautiful when executed properly. When you time it wrong, it's the scariest darn thing. So we are going to see a Globe 199. No, we're not. Edge finished it. So incredibly smooth fight from Dekar. That is a beautiful CPU fight.
And a fan. So we still have options. but other than the checks themselves, the key items in the Fey March opened up 3 other K-main checks.
Yeah. Fey March.
Well, a summon and 2 main, my bad.
Yeah, Fey March having the goods and then some today. And we shall see if Mike is able to replicate this. We see 2,916 hit points going to that back orb. That means that the back orb has 29,160. So that remedy that you see does, in fact, do 10%. But what we're going to get on Mike's side, I think, is repeated bluffs and quakes and Meteo from Tella, and just hoping to sustain enough damage over time to be able to eventually get through this. It's going to be a very different fight than what Dekar's was. So we have 7,400 in on the back orb right now. We're getting a Zerk on this edge, but we'll see what these numbers are, because we still got 22,000 to go on that back orb, and we have no MP on Tella. And we're probably going to wait on a Quake here.
Well, Magma Key gets us 1 closer to 10.
Which
ironic
is not...
that a key item that allows us to get underground would be found so deep in a cave that is already underground. At least it wasn't in the sealed cave.
So would you say, Commander, then that this means that we can get underground now?
That's fair. I would also say that since we did get the magma key from Sylph Cave, underground is cute. It has wings, but not a hat.
I tell you what isn't cute. Knowing now that that pan leads to darkness, which means the orbs were required. That is not cute.
No, it really is not. Oh. It's definitely the sort of seed that says, yeah, 30 sirens in a dream. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Mike, again, he just doesn't have the same level of damage output. He has the quakes from the kid, but one false move here, if you will, where Palom gets bopped, and it kind of falls apart tempo-wise on the fight. So this globe unfortunately hits Palom again, and that is just the worst possible target, because he needs that Palom to be standing in order to get the quakes off when the orbs come back, so that we only have one round of healing. Unfortunately, that's the second worst target, losing Edge there, because Edge is your Zerker. So just really rotten RNG on Mike's side, and hopefully he's able to power through this.
Pella does have a Meteor queued, but it was launched when CPU was the only target. So when it does land, it is not going to sweep this attacker and defender, so we're going to need a little more work to stop the remedies.
Yeah, thankfully that Quake will do it. So we've got a lot of damage in on the back orb, but this fight is still incredibly fragile. Again, hoping Mike gets through this, because it would be a great demonstration of an alternate way to get through this fight. And we're just launching the Quake now. And Palom again, the recipient
CPU
of the
knows
globe.
What's up.
Yeah, just not what you want to see if you're a Mike fan, or if you're in Mike's shoes. And we don't really have anything left to dart. So
Man,
hopefully... Oof.
Yeah, taking nothing away from Mike, this fight is a struggle. This fight is rude. We were both wincing at it from the get-go, but just thinking about how DekarSMASH just picked this apart, and how if you didn't know any better, you'd be like, well, what was the big deal? What were they so worried about? This here is what we were worried about.
Yeah, this is that situation that you just don't want to see. It's very unpleasant, very unfun. Hey, Rydia, that's a target that we don't mind getting bopped.
Oh, we really don't.
But yeah, this is not particularly great. Dekar only finding Asura up on the moon, and says, I'm good, I'll be gone now. And Mike trying to get the last bit of damage here. Does have this Quake queued up. This needs to kill this back orb. Okay,
there it
thankfully
is.
Does. Awesome.
Yes! That should do it. Gotta make sure the Mazer doesn't do something surprisingly rude, but we should be fine now.
Yeah, just get this Edge healed up. This Palom's got a little bit left in the tank, and Mike will be through this and join Dekar shortly on the moon. I would have to assume might take on the Magus Sisters, though, go for a full heal, and then take them on. And might chase Zot. And if Zot does have a second boss hanging out, and also Package has a boss, let's say Mike stays on Earth for a little while, he could still get back in this. Let's say maybe there's a boss on the Giant. Just trying to spitball ways for Mike to still be live here. Because right now it does look pretty rough on his side.
Is 116 too late to D-Money? Asking for a friend that is named Mike.
I think if you can get to 10 key items, you just do Sirens. But if you can't, then yeah, I think D-Money's fine. Although we have lost a second slingshot, maybe we would consider an Eddie slingshot at that point. But looks like we're going to be hoofing it out of here. I think Mike is out of MP on Tella and is just walking out and going to go chase that pan.
Oh, those Meteos. Take their toll.
But Dekar, meanwhile, making his way down the lunar subterrane, and Dekar are going to show us the very bottom of the moon before going Crystal Sword Altar with a pass in hand. Definitely makes a lot of sense. We only are missing access to one boss for what it's worth, and that is the sealed cave. So we know in some sort of extended fashion, because we've seen the Tower Key boss, we know that Dekar is in air quotes go mode, but he needs to find his bosses. So this is a very extended go mode, that it's not really go mode.
Dekar briefly considers tangling with the Baron guards, and if he had done it, everyone here would have been able to see just what a slow spell Fatal is, but then decides, you are not worth my time, I'm moving on.
And speaking of things that are worth his time, hey, we found Golbez. And it's a very nice spot to find Golbez, because in the randomizer, I think 4 spell power gets allotted to Golbez, and like 100 gets allotted to Shadow, the Snek. So the Snek super high magic attack doesn't use magic. Golbez super low magic attack does use magic. Yeah, nice free spot for Golbez. Gonna take some time, of course, but you don't even have to Star Veil here. You don't have to do anything special. Just let Golbez do what it's gonna do and carry on.
And this will be 5 out of 7 for Dekar. That's kind of a turning point for it, even though you've already cleared out the moon. Once you get to 5, you start feeling it closing in, and then you start thinking, did my opponent get to this faster? Or is my opponent maybe still a little behind? How do I feel about it? But you start to shift a little bit into endgame mode.
Yeah, I think on Dekar's side, at least, if we look at how he's played this so far, his overworld was clean, his Baigen was clean. The looting that he did in Eblin Castle really paid off early on. The looting that he did on the way down, even. Finding that Gungnir Spear, for example. And, like, all of his play in general, I wouldn't feel behind if I were in Dekar's shoes. I think that everything has gone basically according to plan. So I think for him, especially also hitting on the Zot 1 play. You do Twin Harp and Zot 1, you get a pass, which kind of makes Twin Harp neutral, and then, you have the Zot 1 play. So I don't think there'd be a reason on Dekar's side to feel behind. On Mike's side, we definitely have seen a reason or two, the length of these fights and whatnot. But Dekar, I guess you could only feel behind reasonably if you think your opponent was able to clear those checks efficiently, get to 10 key items, and then do their grind. But that's a tough sell with the fights that we had available.
Yeah, it's more in the sense of, the efficiency that Dekar has taken on fights. Definitely no reason to feel behind. I guess you only worry about things that you did that had no value. Dwarf Castle, you forgive that. Dwarf Castle has so much value that you figure your opponent's going there, and if it has no value, well, great, your opponent's going to eat that time too. Keyless Tower, that's a little more questionable. A lot of runners really don't like Keyless Tower, so if there's one thing I could point to that might make Dekar feel a little bit behind, it was that walk up to Yang immediately after the grind and saying, here, have a strength ring. Overall, though, I agree with you. He probably doesn't feel behind.
And you did ask a question earlier, Commander. You specifically said, how late is too late, basically, for a D-Machine grind? We might get our answer here, or we might have Mike check the element spot first and then reset. maybe hoping to cash in on an easy 200,000 XP there. He is at 10 key items, so could pick up some nice free XP there, but may also just opt to go straight into a D machine. But looks like we are going to get a peak first. But I think this would be the answer to the question of how late can you D machine. And we have a boss here that is a 65,000 HP turtle. I had to deal with this. I had to deal with this just the other day. And actually,
Marionite call in the first half at least.
Yeah, this is interesting because there was a seed that I ran just the other day that had this, and Dekar ran that same seed. So interestingly enough, I know at least Dekar has run one with a turtle within the last couple days at 65k. I don't know if Mike has, but this is a reason to grind.
Yeah, I was about to say, you know what? I think it's time to grind. I just have this urge right now for an incredible amount of power.
Yeah, this is the Giga Turtle.
And we're talking about that HP specifically for Keinazo, for those of you that were unaware, not just because HP is a thing that you have to deal with, but because Keinazo's wave attack is based on his current hit point total. It's randomized between 4 and 6% is how much it hits each character for, and when you're starting out at 65,000 hit points, that is going to bring a lot of pain.
Yeah, so basically the way that it's going to work is it is 4 to 6% plus a random modifier of like 255, I want to say. But it defaults to no more than, I want to say, I forget the exact amount, but there's an actual cap on it. So here it's just going to be a flat 4%. It's not going to give you the 5 and the 6s. So it's going to be like 4% plus 255, something like that. It's still going to be a lot. 4% of 65k is still somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2750. So yeah, long story short, everyone dies. But yeah, we're going to get to see it on Dekar's side a lot faster as Mike is going through and setting up his D-Machine fight. The big difference that we're going to see here on Mike's side from normal D-Machine fights, I think that Mike has no MP on his Tela right now. So he's going to need to Psych or Succubus or Ether or something before he gets the ball rolling on this. Or we're just going to Quake and go for it.
Yep, and there's the news. Quickly with the elixir, heal through the flames. Go. Does Rosa have a heroine robe? How good is this Cure 3 going to be? Panic!
Yeah, we do see Dekar launched a nuke right away, has the Thor Rage timed properly with Rosa, so this first wave will be nerfed. This is the most important wave to nerf because, well, Keinazo has the most HP at this point. Edge is going to drink some wine. We see also Kane drinking some wine and having a Blizzard Spear. This is going to allow us to have 2 Zerkers in the queue, and we're going to get a Thor Rage queued up with Tela. The way that this fight works, it's basically a punch, then a wave Q, then an empty turn, then a wave fire, but you basically can't let the wave get to the fire part, so your timing on the Thor Rages has to be pretty exact, and Dekar has nailed the first 2. So again, showing great acumen here with his ability to understand these technical fights and get through them. And this turtle's going to go down real fast. That Blizzard Spear doing work, the nukes doing work, Rosa keeping everyone healed. Frankly, you don't even need to nerf any more waves at this point. We've done probably about 30% of the turtle's health and climbing quickly. So I'd expect to see a virus come out on Tela at some point fairly soon, and the fight will basically be over at this point. So extremely well handled again by Dekar.
Kane's moment has finally come as Keinazo, when the water is up, which, when you're doing this right, isn't very long, is weak to thunder. But when the water is down, that's when he's weak to ice, and the Blizzard Spear is finally giving Kane a chance to shine.
Yeah, and just like that, hiding inside the shell, another hit for 5,200 from Kane. Probably next hit or next nuke will take out the turtle here. Maybe not from Edge, because Edge actually not doing as much here, but the next hit from Kane certainly will. One more hiding inside the shell, but this fight is all but over for Dekar, and that is going to be boss number 6 on the list. We just need Elements or Ogopogo. And we know that the Elements in Ogopogo have to be at either Zot 2, the package, or the sealed cave, I believe, at this point. I think we only have 3 options left, and 2 of them are going to be fulfilled.
Or right here at Giant 2.
Oh, yeah. Or Giant 2. The obvious choice.
Which Mike would probably consider good news that because he just did D-Money, but yeah, but Dekar is already here and doing things.
Oh, hey.
Oh, there it is. Hey, Plumeria Knight, go buy a lottery ticket. Oh, wow. This is gonna give DekarSMASH his crystal. He's gonna swag whale it right on over to Troya and go in and have a pretty solid fight against Z.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Dekar's approach here. I think we're gonna end up also
Sure. The rude,
Ow.
I mean, a rude, no brutal, rather.
I think we're going to end up here with Reflect Stress. Ogo, please, relax. Goodness gracious. Can we
Ogo's
calm
apparently,
down?
you know, I apologize, Dekar, for rousing Ogo's wrath by just kind of breezing over this fight and looking ahead to Zeromus. Because Ogo's like, you know, I'm still here. Best show some respect.
Yeah, so anyway, this Z fight that eventually comes up, Calm Down Ogopogo, is going to be possibly Reflect, possibly Hybrid. I'm not sure exactly how Dekar is going to look to do it. I think probably just single nuke, single white, with whatever Edge has left for darts, is probably what we're going for. But yeah, this Ogopogo, as you said, just giving us one last reminder that yeah, there's still one fight left.
Bang. But Dekar getting through it, as he's gotten through a lot of the other rude fights in this seed. I mean, jeez. CPU at Leviathan, Kainazo at Elements, Ogopogo at Giant 2. Yeah, Bygone at Rubicante. This has been a doozy.
This seed in particular was one that very much so lended credence to the idea of grinding early and getting your levels as quickly as possible. And I think Dekar's recognition of that, more than any other single thing, was the biggest benefit to him this seed. Just knowing that, man, I'm at like 5 key items and everything left stinks.
Oh, you know what? We're not going to swag the whale over. We're going to swag a chocobo over.
Well,
the Barren Forest here at the beginning of the game spawned a black chocobo once you set foot in the big whale. And a lot of runners like to take this trip as a...
This isn't swag. He's got a boat here already. He had to do this.
Oh, he Falcon punched himself. Oh, yes. No.
So when he went to do Zot 1, he left the Falcon there. And so that was very good remembering that this was actually quicker. So, yeah. But all of a sudden, Commander Leonhardt, I think chat might have fallen asleep on us. We're ready to go fight the big bad final boss that we just can't put in Antlion Cave because... Well, okay, look, I mean, I personally would love if, you know, we got big banged in Antlion Cave because it would be funny, and for the lulz is a good enough reason for me. But I think for a lot of folks that would be unfun. So, yeah, it's final boss time, and I think we got some questions.
Yeah, we do. I'm going to go with the traditional. Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight? I hear there are other questions, though.
Yeah, I think there's questions like, does the butt have a hat? Is the hat cute? Does the hat have a butt? Can it help with our 401k? I think there's like a bunch of questions now that we have, but yeah, DekarSMASH, the way his party is set up, this looks like we're going to throw a Crystal with Tella, a Star Veil with Kayn, cast White, or at least have it channeling with Rosa, nuke directly with Palom, and probably dart whatever we have left with Edge. So that is my guess as to how this is going to go. And I, for one, am hoping we get Jellymus after our introduction tonight. I think that would be very hilarious.
I will confirm there is one sprite, at least, in the pool that can help you with your taxes.
And it's
I don't think it's this one, though. I mean, look at this. Would you trust this person to do your taxes? I would not.
No, I would trust this person in a barrel throwing contest, though.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. Oh.
It looks like we have some happy fun time going on Mike's side here. We appear...
That's what happens when a wave hits.
Yeah, we appear to have tried to go swimming in a giant, and that does not go well. And we appear to want to go swimming some more, and that is still not going to go well. So a reset for Mike. Again, a demonstration of, another demonstration of DekarSMASH making a lot of these not easy fights look really easy. Again, huge kudos to him for getting through the rudeness that awaited our runners this seed.
So, Ogopogo is the true terror of this seed, being the one fight that almost caused DekarSMASH to go, you know what? We're just going to have to do this again.
Yeah. It wasn't a turtle, it wasn't the orbs. It was the boss after you have a billion XP.
And, to be fair, like, Ogopogo's script is rude, and you just add the raw physical power of a boss that doesn't use physical attacks, because that's how it works. There's not much you can do to finesse that. You just kind of have to suffer with it and work your way through.
Yeah, and speaking of a lack of finesse, or having some finesse, there's a nuke queued up here for Dekar and a spoon to follow. This better kill, or else we might have some issues, and I don't see the dart going away. Well, that's going to do it, folks. GG's to Dekar.
Very well done. Dispatching a rude flag set, rude roll, even by this flag set, in 134.49.
Yeah, and he saw every boss but Sealed Cave, Package, and Zot 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't necessarily beat them all, but saw them all. We'll see if we can get him in for an interview.
Cool. And while we're waiting on that, we're going to watch Mike working his way through this turtle. Looks like he got at least one of those waves handled and is bringing the damage in. And there is indeed a DekarSMASH. GG.
GG's Dekar. All right, Dekar, what was your least favorite boss in that seed?
I guess it was probably the Ogo, just because he decided to, just barely kill every one of my people with one punch.
Yeah, we kind of referenced that, Commander ultimately calling that the final boss of the seed, because all the rest of the rudeness and Turtle, completely fine, extraordinarily well executed. The orbs, beautifully timed to get through that fight. And Ogopogo, after you have, a billion levels in experience, really giving you the business at the end there. But really well done getting through a lot of those rude fights. Just wanted to give you a huge GG's and compliment on that overall.
Thank you. It was definitely a Scala Kitty seed.
And I have to imagine that once you got underground, saw your sirens at Dwarf Castle, and took care of a lot of the light checks, and realized that A, you did not have darkness, and B, everything else was rather rude and time-consuming, that you said, alright, let me do my sirens, time to eat my vegetables, as it were.
Yeah, I definitely had it in mind as an option. Basically, from the moment I found the Assassin Dagger in Eblin at the beginning of the game, and then I didn't find a second Ninja Sword in shops, which made me even more inclined to want big spells. And then, of course, as you say, like the options, Keyless Tower Karate would have been fine without Nuke, but it was starting to get down to the nitty-gritty.
One thing, like post-Nuke, you had 4 spots left, basically. You had that top of tower, which turned out to be nothing. You had Luge, you had Magus Sisters, you had CPU. One of the interesting things we saw you do was go Spy Baron Basement. You saw Luge, and you reset out of it. Was that just because Dr. Dialogue's a long check? Or what was kind of the reasoning going through, that reset there?
It is kind of a long check. It's one that only marginally gets better with all the grinding I did, and I wanted to leverage that power. And it's only a 1/3 chance of being what leads to the Darkness Crystal versus 2/3 in the Fame Arch.
Makes sense. And as this seed turned out, it worked out. Dr. Luga did bring the tower key along with him, but it was merely a pink tail for finishing that chain.
Yeah, and a mom bomb.
Well, yeah, and a mom bomb in the cannon room, because, as we mentioned, the seed was rude.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other interesting things was if I hadn't done the Rex banner check, I probably would have chased the Earth Crystal from Magus Sisters before doing the CPU. But I really didn't want to go back to Zot knowing I had a parking violation, knowing that I've already dipped it once, and so that's what made me do the CPU, and actually ended up being a good thing. So the Rex banner sort of doubly paid off.
Did the Haunted Moon make, well, other than the Golbez, but only finding one boss on that long moon check, did that make you sweat a little bit, or did you just feel that you had dealt with the seed in an efficient enough manner, and that you were also possibly doing something your opponent was going to do anyway? How were you feeling when you got through that moon?
It made me sweat a little bit. I mean, at the time, I had all the key items, except for, like, access to 2 bosses, the tower and Luca checks. But I really didn't want to go back to Zot, so I was kind of, like, considering that, like, a third place I didn't want to go. So, I mean, my plan was just to do Giant into package and sort of leave a bunch of saves on the moon so that if I really had to reset and chase key items, I'd still have them. But, it was not what I was hoping to find on the moon, certainly.
And with regards to that package, I know that, previously in earlier Sieges tournament, in a lot of races, acings, etc., you have been one to do the package before going to the moon, doing it fairly early. Was there ever a chance or a thought that you were going to do it in this seed, like when you went to turn in the D-Mist, for example? Or was it just kind of not the right feel for this seed?
I don't like to do it quite that early, although it was a little tempting being in the neighborhood, and I had it in my mind, maybe I do this as kind of a defensive play, because Mike's probably going to take some chances to, try to pull the upset off in a best of 1. But I think what really made me decide not to do it was when I got the pass, because then, there's not much punish to go to the moon, just fight whatever bosses or objectives, skip everything else, you can come back and do the package afterwards, if necessary. So getting the pass was really what made me decide to not do it on this seed.
Yeah, gotcha. It makes a lot of sense. That pass definitely changes up routing quite a bit. And that pass came from the Twin Harp, so ultimately that little loop in Troya paid off in spades for you, especially having to come back to the blue planet with the Giant to finish things off. So That Twin Harp definitely paid out. That Rex Banner play paid out. And onward to the next round you go. A best of 3 coming up. And that's going to, well, I think we're beyond the 24 hours. In 48 hours, I believe we know who your opponent is going to be. I think I can say it, but I won't anyway. Are you looking forward to that opponent? Are you going to change anything, you know, potentially racing them, just look to play your game? What's kind of your mindset going forward?
I'm not going to change anything. I think just play my game. You know, my opponent's very solid. But I do feel favored, and so I think I don't need to take any crazy chances or anything. I'm just gonna, you know, keep trying to play the way I play, and hopefully, you know, continue on. You know, the rest of the bracket's actually really interesting. You know, a lot of people who I would not have guessed still in it. So congrats to them. You know, Mike too in this race. I don't think very many people saw him making it this far. He had a really great run, so GG's to him on that too.
Yeah, Mike definitely did a number in the waning bracket, winning. It was either 4 or 5 matches to get here after, you know, an early loss. So he definitely made a splash. You, of course, have made a splash, you know, trying to defend your ZZ4 crown. Obviously not able to do it in the waxing bracket, but still live in the waning bracket. So we certainly wish you the best of luck going forward in defending that crown.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Possum and Commander Leonhardt for the commentary, Dover for the tracking, and Scala for the restream and the delightful seed.
Delightful, he said.
Yeah, GG's again, Dakar. Have yourself a great night, and well-deserved short period of rest before you get to play next week again, starting your best of 3s.
So.
And that was the winner of tonight's match, DekarSMASH. As we mentioned before, give both of the runners a follow, and you'll be able to see some very exciting and well-played free enterprise. Talking about that on Mike's side, when he was working his way through the Ogopogo, he reflected some nukes off of his own characters to take down that Ogopogo, which is important, because among Ogopogo's mean tricks is a nasty blaze when you hit him with black magic that deals 1/4 of your party's damage in ice. So being able to bounce those spells gets around that.
Yeah, definitely taking advantage of the boss scripts in so far as not triggering them at all, which can be very important sometimes. So Mike does see that Golbez there. Also worth noting, he has an Eddie anchor now to go with his 2 nukers and his white caster. We're getting some size coming out. Looks like, yeah, everybody is going to be sized except for Eddie, and going to take out this Golbez here. I think this is also one of the slight technical differences between Dekar and Mike. That Dekar realized as soon as he got into this fight, knowing that you don't have to do anything here, that basically Golbez is a pushover, cannot effectively kill you with a fully ground up party, and not having to take a reset, just kind of carrying through the fight and just you know, dispatching Golbez. So those slight technical differences, they add up over the course of the seed, and that really is kind of the story in this one. Well, that, and of course the decision to do the very early grind.
Something mealtime. Something demolish.
Well, Sneck being a nice Sneck there, and eating Edward, which is good. Edward is our anchor, so yeah, now we get to preserve that anchor and cast our spells and carry on. I do love the fact that we ended up on Mike's side with basically a whole lot of characters that exist that you wouldn't normally see in standard Lufia 2 runs. getting Darby and Salon and Artie and all that. I guess Artie you would see in any percent, but in like the reject percent, yeah, this would be a more commonly seen party. So I'm glad that some of those characters get to show up and make an appearance here, as opposed to the more traditional characters from that run.
And with this party comp from Mike, we're just going to see straight up reflect strats. Again, taking advantage of scripting. Zeromus won't refill his hit points if you don't deal direct damage once he gets past a certain point. So you can just bounce the spell, but that third spellcaster is what really tips into making that an efficient move.
Yeah, honestly, just with 2 new casters, especially with the levels we're going to end up with, would be more than enough. But having Nuke White available, easy breezy fight. You set it up correctly and it's over before you know it. So Golbez down on Mike's side. That's boss number 6. And now we got the big question of where is Elements. One of the worst places in the game you can find Elements at is the Ogopogo spot. So we'll see if maybe Elements shows up there, and yeah, that could be fun.
Dekar checked our moon for us. Elements is yeah, it's Water Hag at Ogo of all things.
Right.
Elements is either at this package we've been lugging around this whole time, hiding behind a Luca key, or behind DKC and Zot.
So if it's in Zot, you would have to do Magus Sisters first, which you would then find Zot 1, and yeah, so we'd never see Elements if it were hiding there. The package could definitely be a thing that we check. Luca key, we have no idea where that is. It's got to be somewhere on the moon or behind Zot.
Yeah, I was not paying attention to DekarSMASH's spoiler log during the interview, so I don't know where the Luca key is. I don't know if anyone in chat or our tracker happened to spy it, but I would certainly not blame anyone that missed it.
Yeah, guilty as charged. I definitely missed it. Mike going to go through and check everything here. We're going to get a warp glitch, which is going to send us back down a little bit quicker out of this room. Going to go peek the Crystal Sword Altar and carry on to our next check or checks. And looks like chat does know where the Luca key is, so thank you to chat. Always a great help, because, well, we were paying attention to other things.
Right.
So Luca key looks like it is in the ribbon room. So
she
yeah.
just had the Baron guards, which, you know, compared to some of these other moon fights, not so bad. Thinking about the fact that, you know, Dekar, I don't think he would have done anything differently. But Dekar, for a split second, looked like he was going to take on those Baron guards. But I don't think finding Luca key there makes him go, you know, maybe I'm going to change how I do this. I'm not feeling that.
The reason that Dekar reset out of that as well actually had less to do with not wanting to take the fight, and more to do with the fact that he had a stone caster in slot 2, and if he queued up a stone, he wouldn't have been able to kill his anchor. So even had he found the value, he would not have been able to go through and do anything with it without breaking his anchor. Mike taking a quick trip around the pink puff room there, which is always fantastic. I don't know if he has a siren for it or just didn't, you know, want to use one, but does not have exit, I don't believe, on anybody, so has to kind of trudge his way back out of the lunar subterrane now.
He swapped Tella for Edward and hasn't done Zot to have exit on Rosa, so yeah, I'm gonna have to make that walk. Like, some walks backwards, you do enough time, you get used to them. Walking out of Baron, for instance, but, like, the urge to have exit when you dive the moon is so strong that you very, very rarely have to do this walk backwards, and it's just, you don't have enough practice at it to make it smooth and polished the way the walk down to the LST is.
Yeah, I had to do this in the Adamant Cup against Dusty Griff of all people, and I was sweating bullets the whole time. Like, man, this is the worst. I hate this.
Why?
Like,
Why?
I've done it enough that I'm generally pretty good at it, but like even that, there were still multiple missteps, and it was like, man, why? It was brutal. But hey, got through it. Here we are today.
Yes. Yes, you did.
But Mike made his walk down. Did he peak Value Cave previously, or did he skip that?
I don't know, but I'm gonna guess no, just because he's going in here now. But I couldn't have told you when he got in the whale.
Gotcha.
We know it's Asura here.
A whole lot of not a fight you're gonna take.
And Mike knows that there's only two bosses he can't see. Zatu and Sealed Cave. And he's got to know it's extremely unlikely that both of those are as required. Might be time... No, he's going to go pick off some moon bites.
Well, he may have just gone straight to the bottom of the moon as well. I don't know that he checked Murasame Altar either.
Right.
So, this
Which,
may
at
have
6
been...
out of 7, I can see it. You go in, you check that high density, and then you can just walk right down if you like.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're going to get a package check from Mike. And part of that would have been, the opponent's scouting piece. Like, if you know your opponent is one to go through and do things like a package check, do you play off that metagame and think, oh, hey, maybe my opponent did that. Let me go check it. I would not be surprised to see Mike do the package even before doing the Zot 1 check. Once we get back down to the blue planet. Plus, it's a creative way to swap airships. You can land your airship on either the left or the right-hand side with the whale. Do the package cutscene. You get your Enterprise back on the right-hand side of Mist Village, and you don't have to worry about airship swapping. It does it for you. So it is a little bit of impetus to do the package check. Before even doing Zot 1. But it looks like Mike is going to go ahead and swap his airships, and we'll see where he goes from here.
And only two options at this point. Which one compels you? It is the Zot 1. Which you like with a pass in hand.
Yeah.
If it's here, you warp out and you're right there.
Yep. Definitely makes sense, because you go through this, you beat the boss, you warp out, you go fight the final boss, and the game is over. So it definitely makes a lot of sense to approach it this way. Good on an efficient routing side, and Mike will be rewarded with that DKC.
It does mean that for us, the ultimate location of elements will remain a mystery. We will just have to live with that. It won't keep me up at night.
Nope.
Not even a little bit.
No, and especially I know it's getting late for you, Commander, so if it's not going to keep you up, it's not going to keep anybody up.
Yeah, it's only just after midnight. All's good here.
And Mike gonna get the good news. Oh hey, oh hi. We have found the guy.
Hey ho, let's go. Such a tickle at these levels. I mean, honestly, 1 to 200 is not the sort of thing that causes Dark Knight Cecil to be referred to as Pain Man. That's more like if he had been at the Leviathan spot. Ooh, there would have been a thought. Let's swap this DKC and that CPU and see How fast do our runners go back to Mysidia for an Edward when they see DKC there and he's an objective?
Well, the interesting thing about that is I don't actually know that it changes the routing at all, because in Red Moon you start with a couple of Cure 3s. And so you can just kind of have your party set up in a way where you could stagger your Cure 3s on, let's say, Edge. And as long as he has more than about 1,300 health, you can get through it. So I don't actually know that it would have changed much. I think they still would have been very rude fights, but I think it actually would have made it easier in a strange world to have those bosses flipped.
It would have been faster, that's for sure.
That's true.
Even as efficiently as DekarSMASH dismantled that CPU, that still took longer than 3 waves in a speech about justice.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
That's it. Shoutouts to Mike. Still working his way through this seed. Coming up on 2 hours. Don't know if he's been watching the race room and knows that Dekar is done or not, but either way, making sure to finish this out.
Yeah, I know previously, having done a lot of races with Mike, he usually does watch the race room. But don't know if he does that during races. I just know in like pickups and like ladder matches and stuff like that. But whether he has or has not, good for him for getting through this seed. Definitely a tester, one that he will learn from, and one that we'll certainly be excited to see him put that knowledge to the test during our spring tournament or during ZZ6. Or any of our club season events. Seeds like this, they learn you a thing or two, and you just become a better runner from it.
Yeah, for everyone out in chat or watching the YouTube VOD, that seeing these runners take on these challenges, and you're like, this looks like fun. I'm gonna try it out. We've got a Discord. Come on by, hang out with us. There are so many people that know so much about this game that'll be happy to get you pointed in the right direction, answer your questions. We're a fun bunch to hang out with, promise.
Yeah, and additionally, the Pink Puff League going to be starting up again, I think fairly soon. I'm not exactly certain on the time, but if you're a newer runner and you might want to kind of sharpen your skills a little bit, learn some different things. Our Pink Puffs, they have a great track record for success. I think every Pink Puff champion or runner-up has made deep runs in tournaments. So if you want to cut your teeth at tournament level play, or you just want to have some fun, the Pink Puff League is a great way to really get involved and to kind of start learning and playing and developing those skills. So we'd love to have you come hang out. We'd love to teach you a thing or two, to be able to interact with you. Just overall, always a blast. So the more the merrier.
Yeah, the Pink Puff League has been run for a while with exactly that purpose, to help newer runners get used to, learning free enterprise and get used to racing without having to, line up against a DekarSMASH and, deal with the impending feeling of, I'm about to get smashed. Asuka has been doing this for several seasons now, has a good handle on building a series of flag sets that get progressively more difficult and also give you a chance to learn some of the important lessons as far as developing skills as a runner. But also, even before we get to club season during the tournament, her own Pink Puff Knight, CS Radical, is running a series of asyncs for the Puffs to kind of help keep things going while we wait for the new season to start. So keep an eye out for those in the Discord as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to kind of what you had mentioned earlier with Mike going full reflect strats here, we do see the bounced whites, the bounced nukes. We saw a Big Bang come out. Everybody died. Nope, just kidding. Only Edward died. Yeah, we're going to be through this fight very quickly. Mike probably finishing up in the next couple of spells, as we've pushed a ton of damage already. These mages, you can tell they have a ton of levels because Rydia has 2100 HP, and she learns nuke at like 1650.
That, and despite being in T-Pro gear, is blasting nukes for 9k.
Yeah.
You expect that kind of thing from Hallam, but for Rydia to get up there either means, yeah, lots of levels or some amazing gear.
Yeah. And we see a shake from DekarSMASH here. Lethal damage is in the air, though. Either this white spell or Rydia's nuke. There will be no second Big Bang. This fight is done and dusted. And there we go. The white spell still up on the screen. That means that Z is done for. And Mike, GG's to you. Official time at 2:01:53. Great job sticking it out. And see if we can get Mike in for an interview.
And we are indeed joined by Mike. GG's.
Thank you.
Yeah, GG's to you, Mike. That was definitely a bit of a slog there. What boss in a rude location was your least favorite?
Well, you could see that I actually fought, because it would have been a little bit worse if it was Mega Sisters. But
Yeah,
the ones that
go ahead.
the worst fight was Kinazo, because it turns out if you give Tala a million XP, he gets pretty fast.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely a problem. That he's a spry old man. Gets too much XP and gets very speedy, and that's not the best. So that explains some of the troubles though on that Kainatsu. But hey, you learned from it. You'll come out stronger and better as a runner for it. So absolutely no shame there.
Yeah, I knew my Achilles heel in this tournament was this type of seed layout specifically, where because I'm looking to burn out and go as fast as I can to Darkness Crystal. All my power I plan to come from D Machine, but when it's buried that deep, I'm in a little bit of trouble, especially if I also don't take Rydia with Leviathan, which was the answer for like everything in that seed.
Yeah, Commander had mentioned something, with regards to that Rydia very early on, that finding a hook and finding a Leviathan could really be a good thing there. And that Baigen certainly gave you the business, not having access to Quake on Palom and not having Leviathan on Rydia, having to try to rely on Meteo didn't look like it felt great. And then the other big thing that was kind of a differentiating factor, was Dekar decided to just, for lack of a better term, suck it up and do 25 eggs and to nuke and white, and he went to 30 Siren and a Dream route. And I know awesome. That's not your style generally, but that was one that definitely helped out for him getting through those awful bosses a little bit quicker.
And I considered taking those orbs early too, actually, because I knew I was a bit behind from taking a Baigen wipe. But I mean, I had so much stuff to check, I thought I'd gamble somewhere else, and that was Twin Harp, which did have a pass, but not the answer.
Yeah, it had good music though.
Right, it did.
Yeah. I do like 30 in a Dream when I don't have Tella there, and the slingshot.
Yeah.
And I actually was practicing. I just learned a technique you like, the assassin dagger grind. And I learned today, you probably know this, but if you have Kane and you are surprised or back attack, if you instantly jump, you'll swoon the egg too, as I was practicing. But I didn't go that route today.
I didn't know that. Yay, learning.
It's harder to time, but yeah, it is a thing that you can do. The swoon tech, we actually got to see that from Dekar as well. So you mentioned that it is something that everyone got to see in this race, which is always cool to see. That sort of tech being shown off in a tournament race. But I did want to talk just real quick about kind of your general, play through the tournament. We obviously played in the, very first round, and it was a close match, but you then bounced back and you made this amazing waning bracket run, getting, back through all the way up to Dekar, which is, an amazing run in and of itself. Kind of overall, how are you feeling about, either this seed, this race, this tournament as a whole, your run? Like, where are you, mentally at? Is it too soon to feel good about it? Or are you, already looking back thinking this has been a success?
No, I feel great about it. I know that's hard to say after I just had my slowest seed I think I've played in the whole tournament, but I've recognized all along that this seed is really gonna do me slow. Although it would have helped to maybe not eat Tella and walk the lunar subterranean twice. But yeah, I feel really good about it. This whole tournament was fun, so thank you, Possum, for sending me down to this waning moon bracket so fast, because I've had a heck of a time down here. Got to play a lot of good players. Like you said, getting back to Decker, that was really kind of my ultimate goal to get to. Depending on who lost out of him and Solaris, to get to one of those two this tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, again, I mean, it was a great run through. Always fun to watch you run, not only this, but also, Lufia 2, Ancient Cave, and, other things as well, because I know you don't just stream those two exclusively, just primarily those two. But, always a pleasure to get to watch you, do what you do.
Yeah, thank you. And, this tournament's been really cool. Learned a lot from a lot of players, had a lot of great support. Sadly, don't get to move on to meet Rex Banner in the finals of the winning bracket, but I tried. And just thanks for everyone who supported me. Like, people actually picked me to get exactly to this spot, and I didn't know if I should even do Red Moon. So it felt really good to. Well, I saw people picking me to get to win all these winning brackets in bracketology. I'm like, what? But I did it, so I feel good. And I indulge you with a quick story. I know it's late.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So
the
another
floor
person
is
that
yours.
supported me. I used to play Final Fantasy 11 online a long time ago, and I had a childhood friend I was trying to find, so I named my character after him. His name was Garland Watson, and I actually found him, and we didn't end up to be too good of friends after I found him, but I made a lot of good friends at that time, and somebody found me. But while I was playing Final Fantasy 4, I seen the Garland Watson in my tag from the time I played Final Fantasy 11, and he's been watching all the tournaments. His name is Fire. So shout outs to him. He's been very supportive, and everybody else, lots of people, and everyone putting on this tournament has been awesome too. Scala and you and Commander, thanks for comms and Dubword backing. He's been awesome. Everybody has. Thank you.
Thank you for putting on a good show for us. It was a joy to watch.
Yeah, and thank you for the awesome story. That's so cool. But Mike, again, GG's to you. Your tournament run does come to an end tonight, but we will look forward to seeing you on the ladder, seeing you in the club season, and just seeing you around Free Enterprise in general still. And, I hope you have a great rest of the night. And if you have any, final parting words, the floor is yours, my friend.
Just want to say GG's to Decker. I'll be watching all of his matches and the rest of the winning Red Moon and the rest of the Blue Moon races too. Still a lot good left to go on in this tournament, which has been awesome. Last thing I'll say is I didn't actually like boss hunts coming to this tournament, but now it's the most fun I've had in any tournament so far. So GG's to everyone who's put this together. There's a guy who's run about 290 Red Moon seeds. He's pretty cool. Thanks, everybody.
He is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, Martin is all right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you again, Mike, and you have yourself a great evening, sir.
You guys have a good evening too. Thanks for staying up so late.
I mean, it's not even 10 o'clock here, so I'll get on this end. All right.
That was our runner-up in tonight's race. Mike did a heck of a job, though, on a rude seed and has had a fantastic run through the tournament. Keep an eye on him. We're going to see good things in the future. That does end our broadcast for tonight, and no, there are no other free enterprise races. We're not mad people. But we still have more free enterprise action for you.
Yeah, we're going to be heading over to go say hi to a free enterprise friend, Fluffy Cactus, who is doing some Blue Moon seeds right now, I do believe. We do have races coming up starting on Tuesday for next week. I believe that is going to start the best of threes for Red Moon and some best of ones still in the Blue Moon Waning bracket. But that is where we sit right now. One more huge thanks to Scala Kitty behind the scenes doing restreaming, Dubward doing tracking, Dekar and Mike, wonderful runs tonight, and of course Commander Leonhardt, thank you for keeping me honest up here in the booth.
Thank you for being here, Possum. Appreciate it.
All right, y'all, no spoilers as we head over to Fluffy Cactus. Y'all have a great night.